The ambiance in here, it's a bit intimate, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, but I just kind of wanted to share a meal with you, I don't know, there's kind of something special about sharing a meal with people, right? What do you mean by that? Well, I don't know, it's like when you think about writing or reading, I guess reading a book, like, isn't it kind of special when somebody is with somebody to share a meal? Like, it's kind of means more than just, I guess you could have a deep conversation somewhere, but if you're going to sit down and talk with someone, that's kind of I do suppose we have a connection of sorts, but I mean, how many years has it been, man? Oh God, I think was it 8 years? College, graduated college. Yeah. 8. Is it? Ooh. All right. I mean, we're both 30 now, so I guess lots of things have changed, haven't they? Well, I don't know. I don't know what have you been up to? Like, what are you doing for work? Oh well, I've been doing consulting for basically since out of college. It's a job, it pays really well. I've worked my way up the company, and yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with it. What kind of consulting? I just work with businesses and try to give them recommendations on where to move their marketing and their branding and the likes. Okay. So, what do you like most about it? I don't know. I think I like working with people, well, most of the time, but it's yeah. It's it's that's I don't know. It's a hard question for me to answer for some reason. Huh. It's been 8 years. I can still think back on all the 4 years together, man, living in the same rooms. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. There's so many good memories of getting way too wasted with people that I don't even remember their names anymore. I mean, has that happened to you where I feel like it took me a long time to reach the point where I don't remember, like I can remember somebody's face, but I don't remember their name. Yeah, I mean, oh God. I mean, I don't know if that's the alcohol from the parties talking, but it's I know what you mean. I don't know. Of course I never forgot yours. I mean we it's how do I put this? I haven't seen you in 8 years, and I missed you, man. I kind of I'm so tired of the small talk with everyone, and I can we I guess for lack of a better way to put it, can we just skip past that into how we're really doing with our lives? Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm fine with that. I don't know if I know exactly what you mean, but well, you see, like I feel like I go through all these conversations and with all these people from the past or in the present day, and I want to skip into what's real. Like I want to know what bugs you on a day to day. Like how do you get through the hours in a way? How do I get through the hours? Yeah, I don't know. I, are you doing all right? I don't. I feel like I'm pretty happy, and I just kind of things just kind of keep going in some ways. And yeah. Well, okay. Hear me out. Let's see. What's what's something that you have done since I last saw you that you're ashamed of? Something ashamed of? I'm not sure I quite get where you're going with this. Well, I'm sorry if I'm being too forward here, but I don't know. A lot of stuff's happened in my life. I mean, yeah. What are you doing for work? I mean, yeah. I don't know. I've been taking odd jobs here and there, I suppose, and kind of like, I mean, I've kept up my writing. I've worked as a copywriter for the past 2 years, but I've published some of my own novels on the side. I mean, most on Amazon. One I actually got through the door. But really, congratulations. No, no, I mean, it's not. I'm not. It's not too big of a deal for me. I'm just. Yeah, I mean, I worked as an usher at a movie theater, and like for a little while, it just kind of roll along. I made the money that I could to travel and just see the world, try to change my perspective a bit more. Where'd you travel to? I've been all over kind of, but see, this is what I mean. I don't there's nothing wrong with what we're doing here. I want to move into the real stuff. Like, I mean, okay, I asked you something in the last 8 years that you've been ashamed of, and why don't I get the ball rolling on that? I'm still not entirely sure what you mean by that. Well, I mean, here, so one of the places I went to travel was Spain, and I went on this big long pilgrimage called the Camino. And sure, I didn't begin at the beginning. I guess the whole thing is like some 800 kilometers or something like that. And people do it for all sorts of reasons. They want to go on a spiritual quest and like come to one with that side of themselves, or they just want the exercise, the achievement. But I think a lot of people, including myself, don't really know why we were doing it exactly, but I knew that I was looking for a way to get out of my head. And, as it happens on the Camino, a lot of the time people will get injured and that can sort of take people out of things. But that was, I, from, I made some mistakes in the first days, maybe went a little too hard, and I got, I would say, at least lightly injured pretty early. But basically, I kept going on this, and my knees started creaking more, and my shins. I had some tendonitis around there, and I got further along until I was getting closer to the end. I was probably a little over 50 kilometers out, like, so I don't know, 30-ish miles. And at this point, I'd probably done around 150 some miles or so. And my mind the entire time was just always on my injuries and what was going to happen when I got back. Am I going to be able to keep going? And like, am I going to go on hikes this summer? Am I going to be debilitated? Am I going to hurt something in my leg? And I had a trip planned after this. I was going to be going around Europe for a few weeks, and I didn't want to screw that up. And all these things started eating away at me until I sat down in front of this church, and there was this married couple that I'd run into a few times. And the guy, he saw me taping up my leg or something, and he sat down with me and he asked me what was up. I told him, and he was telling me to be careful, and I just started crying, like, uncontrollably. Like, I mean, I wasn't like, I guess, freaking out in some sense, but in some ways I was. And I don't think I'm ashamed of that. I'm not even necessarily ashamed of what happened, but he had this talk with me about how no one is going to care if I finish this. The only person that cares is me. And so when I get to the end of it, I can look back and say, oh, I failed to get there. Or I can look back and be like, wow, look at how much that I've done here. And how many miles I walked, how much fun I had, the people that I talked to. I pushed myself in boundaries to meet and speak with different people and of different cultures. I had dinner with people from 10 plus countries around the world, and I was the only American at the table. And I did so many great things. And he said, the only person that's going to care is you. Maybe he didn't mean that about all those things, but I think I see what he was saying. And after that, I ended up taking a bus the next day to the end of the Camino, and I walked about the last 7 miles or so, and I just felt this deep, deep sense of shame and guilt over not walking that last bit. And looking back on it, I don't even know if that's, I don't know if I'm proud of myself for doing this, or in some ways I'm proud of myself for allowing myself to take the out and get out of my head and realizing what the point of the journey was. And I took that bus to the end, and I was able to see friends and meet more people because of that. And then on other days, I wonder what would have just happened if I had just kept walking those last bits, what I would have seen and what I could have learned. But there's no way of knowing, but I just, yeah. Mhm. I, hmm. That's a tough dilemma, I guess. I don't think you should be ashamed of not taking the risk on your legs and those injuries. Like, you could have screwed up the whole thing. And I know. I think I've processed all of that. I don't think I need to necessarily worry about it anymore, but it's still there, you know? Yeah, I get you. So what did you learn from that experience, I guess, besides this? Oh, um, lots of things. I mean, there's just moments walking alone on a ridge. There's no one around, and you feel like an ant on the world, but everything around you just feels so significant because it's all so beautiful. And I I don't think I can quite describe it. Like, you end up in these small towns, and just you meet these people that this is their life. They talk to the people on the pilgrimage, and there's just the way that the sky folds over in the night, and you have there's this one town called Triacastela that I was staying out in this, they call them albergues. They're like sort of like cheap hostels on the Camino, and you stay with all the other pilgrims. And there was just this field of green grass and the crickets all chirping, and there was this creek behind our hostel. And like, it felt like, have you seen a Terrence Malick movie? It felt a lot like just these gorgeous colors as the sun was setting. And I just stood there for a minute and just, I don't know that I have ever acquired that level of presence again. That was something else. That sounds beautiful, man. I'm glad that you got to do that. Yeah, yeah. I know. There's other adventures that I'd been on, but I think that was some of the most significant for sure. But what is something you've done in the past 8 years that you're ashamed of? I don't know if it's really that simple for me, man. I guess it's kind of hard for me to say in a way. I mean, there has to be something, right? Like, it's been so long we haven't seen each other, and I really valued this friendship, and you meant a lot to me in those days, and I want to way back to that, and I'm not sure how to find that road. Yeah. I mean, you meant a lot to me too, man. You know how it goes. I guess just sometimes people grow apart a bit. Why are we even meeting up if we're not gonna figure some things out? All right, all right. In the last 8 years, I have been doing the same thing over and over, understanding the things that I'm doing wrong, ways I could be happier, and I'm not actively trying to figure out how to do any of that. I feel like I see all these doorways to bettering my life, and I'm not figuring it out. Like, it's been 8 years of working my way up the ladder at a company that I don't care about, for a job that I don't like, with people that, to be honest, I'm not super fond of in the first place. And I mean, I used to have dreams and things that I wanted to do. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to travel the world with you. But I guess in some part of my brain, I just didn't see it as possible, I don't feel like I let myself be happy. I gave up 8 years ago on the real parts of life that you think about as a kid, that you're like, I'm not going to give that up. And sometimes you see people that are on their deathbed and they look back and regret things, and sometimes people don't. But I guess I think about the decisions they made and which one I'm going to end up being. Yeah, I mean, man, we used to goof off, and we'd make all those stupid sketches together, and like, sure, maybe we didn't know if they were funny to anyone else but ourselves, but they were funny to us. And I don't know why we stopped. I don't know why I decided to just give up on these things that made me happy. And I think that's being pretty hard on yourself, man. You know, it is hard on myself, but it's also like the reality of the situation. I wanted to be a writer too. And is that why you never reached out to me? What do you mean? Because you wanted to be a writer too. You're not happy with where you are now? Are you asking if I'm jealous of where you are? I'm not asking if you're jealous. It's just that I felt like I tried to reach out to keep this going, but it just didn't seem like you were interested anymore. And at some point, I felt like I had to give that up. I don't know what happened. I was so stuck in my own world that I couldn't really even find it in me to just be around you. And sure, I'm sure your life wasn't sunshine and rainbows. I'm sure you had big tragic things happen, as everybody seems to do. But it's in the back of my mind, I don't, it made me feel like I had failed being around you. Mm-hmm. What does that mean now? I I don't know that it has to mean anything. I I mean, you have to fail to move forward, don't you? It took me 8 years to even consider this again. Well, I guess that's the small talk out the window. Yeah. Yeah, I think we might have ditched it a bit. I guess what's the next question? Well, we've talked about the bad. What else is bad? Like when you've been working on a book for months and it just doesn't feel like it's coming together. What's going through your head? You know, when we would make our sketch about some weird hick guy that's trying to make it in a city, and all these just, we'd think of the most crackpot things, like him riding around with cans trailing off his bicycle, or I don't know, some weird hillbilly solution to like some stupid problem that we'd come up with, and we would laugh and think it's so funny. And not even when you'd show it to a friend and just didn't feel like they get it, but just that, I guess it just feels like that bit in the back of your mind when, even when you're watching it and laughing. You know, I've been writing for I don't know how many years at this point, and you still get that bit in the back of your mind. You're like, am I the only one who gets this? And when I'm working on something that important to me for so long, it's just, when you're not getting it, it's like that room that you're isolated in. It's just a different level. You're watching yourself isolated in that room from a lens off somewhere in a void. Like you can't even figure out how that guy's gonna like it. I think I know what you mean. I hope, but Are you still a philosophy head, like keeping up with your Camus? I don't know. I guess I like to keep up with things. You go around the world, you meet a lot of people who are doing crazy stuff, and they're telling you about their trip that they did on shrooms in Amsterdam. And while you watch people do things in Amsterdam, and people, there was a guy actually that I met up with these dudes, and they were in my cramped, sweaty hostel room that was cheap and poorly ventilated, but I don't know. Two of them had a great time, and but the one guy, he ran. We went to dinner, and then he wasn't even high anymore, and he ran off. Like he thought that he was dead. I guess I'd never seen somebody sort of like. I mean, I guess I've never seen somebody think that they're legitimately dead, and it was a unique experience, I guess, to see what, even though I wasn't experiencing that perceptual change, it was something to witness in a way. And I mean, I being me, and I just always I think about what's going on in my reality, and I talked about shame and what am I happy for, and what's real. I don't know, what is real to you? What's real to me is the experiences that you share with people, and I guess that's why I wanted to meet up with you again. Is it's just there's the whatever neurons, synapses, or bullshit's in my brain that puts things into the memory bank. It seems like it really likes those years we spent together, and I don't know if that's some biological purpose or from our 20s or what, but I I think just enjoying the moments with other people, that's what it's all about. Like, I mean, I love you too, man. Yeah. Like it was just interesting on some of my travels. Like again, the Camino I just had, it was such a unique experience because you run into people and everybody just shares with you so deeply on their life so quickly. And maybe that's why I don't like small talk, is I got a taste of what it's like to see deeper into someone and who they are. And maybe I'm addicted to that or something. But like I met this guy one night. Like I had a long day, and I walked into the door of this hostel, and I sit down, and he just says hello out of nowhere. And you can tell the look on his face that he's friendly. And his name was Paul. And he just, so quickly, I was brought back into my happy reality. Like, that was real. It's just this immediate connection of someone who, it's like, I'm not alone anymore. As maybe awful as my legs might have felt in that moment, he saved me from whatever was happening. And like later the next day, we went out and had a few drinks and got some food and just watched a kind of boring football match. And then we just talked over our lives, and I learned about how he had gone from being in a job that he didn't really like, that made plenty of money, to doing like building restoration and like working on these old buildings. And it was just how he was content. And he's like, we all have our struggles, but you meet people, and he's like, if you're ever in trouble, just go walk, try it's not perfect, but you can try to do that and maybe meet someone and have another real experience, I guess. Oh, it looks like our food's coming. Here, I got it. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for picking this place. Yeah, I love sushi. I've actually never had it. You're 30 and you've never had sushi before. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just never really happened, I guess. I don't know. You hold your chopsticks, and how do I hold them? I kind of pinch them with like sort of two fingers on each one, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong. But I kind of just do what feels best, you know? Yeah, the we'll see. I'm struggling just a bit. Struggle is good, you know. It's worth it. Is this an improper way to do it? Can I tell you something? Mm-hmm. I was worried this meeting of ours wasn't going to go well. And I mean, I guess I'm still worried that it's not going to go very well or end well or hasn't gone well, but I don't think you should worry so much about that, man. I just appreciate that you're here and you're doing this with me. And it means a lot to me, at least, that you're here trying to rekindle this. And I mean, we both know what it feels like to have lost this feeling and to have lost each other and to lost our way. And I just, it takes a lot to get back to this point, and it just sometimes just takes sitting down and doing it and talking it out and hoping it all works. Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here with me again. I appreciate it. Dude, do you remember that at that New Year's party we threw at our place where there was that like group of people that came in, they were just stoned out of their mind, and they sat down on the couch together and they were just they would flick a lighter on and off. Oh my god, yeah, dude. And they just sit there for like 20 minutes just blowing it out over and over. I do love a good cartoon. I think that was definitely something that got me started. Well, and yeah, it's just like look at the people who are making that. They just have this freedom about them to be so random and esoteric and not giving a shit about what anyone thinks. I don't know that I could. How do you get to the point of like you're far enough along in this career journey of writing out this television show, and you just go, "Hey guys, what if we just had the entire setting of our show shoot off into the stars, and that's where the last 20 episodes are going to happen?" Yeah. I think that's the dream in some way, is to be able to create without barriers, and maybe we're putting all these barriers up ourselves. I think I certainly am, and I just gotta find a way to not doubt myself on these projects and stuff. How about we make a deal? In the next month, you write something or shoot a skit, or hell, have me over, do it with you, and you send it to me, and we laugh at it together. What's your side of the deal? Well, I will stop feeling bad for not breaking my legs on those last 50 kilometers of the Camino. How about that? Good. Let's do that then. All right. Cool. Well, we're talking about meeting up again. And, when we got to the end of school, I feel like it wasn't just you, but in some ways, you were the one person that I thought that I wouldn't say goodbye to. And we'd just be in each other's lives for however long. Mm-hmm. And back then, I mean, we said the same thing. We said that we had a plan, even like we're gonna stick this out and keep it going together, and it fell apart. And I guess, what does that mean now? Are we really doing this, or is it just another 8 years, 10 years, 16 before we see each other again? I don't think I can be the only one to decide that. Are we just too afraid to make that commitment that we're friends again? I think I'm afraid of making that commitment and then it not being true. I mean, life feels pretty different without everyone around from then, and it's felt different without you. Is it just different, you think? Well, I don't want to tell you it was worse, but I don't want you to feel like you have to be there for me. I don't want to tell you that every moment makes me happier, because it's not true. I get frustrated, I get unhappy with people at times, but I miss you. I miss having you around. It just feels like people that are memories in my life. And like I said, that at some point you stop piecing the letters together and it's just faces. I don't think you'll ever be just a face to me. Can we please just try? I know I want to. And I know we might not always have the time or the love or the ability to care in our hearts. The world moves a lot faster than at least I'm capable of keeping up with, but it feels good to try. Thank you for having dinner with me. Thank you. Let's do this again. Yeah, let's do it again. I do have to get going though. My girlfriend wants to watch the Oscars tonight. Oh yeah, no, that'll be fun. All right, I'll see you around. All right. Have a good night.